Well, it's just about that time again for my annual revisit to Destiny. I just did a video like this for the World of Warcraft, but it's true. It's true. Much like the way I do with Diablo 3, World of Warcraft, ESO, and Warframe, to name a few, Destiny has been a game that I routinely revisit a few times a year to check out the latest changes and updates. And in just a few weeks, there's going to be a new reason to return. And that is Beyond Light, the latest update that adds new locations, brings back some old ones, introduces a new element and subclass system, along with the usual draw of some brand new story bits, strikes, quests, raids, weapons, and gear to collect. And even though I'm not in love with every decision Bungie is making right now, it doesn't really matter because I can't deny that Destiny is one of those games I want to keep coming back to because I have so much fun with it. Destiny is just plain and simply put a fun game to play. And even though there are some things that I think it gets wrong, overall, the whole package is something that I think is good and I enjoy. So there you go. Now, if you're watching this video with the title and thumbnail and all of that, you're probably someone who's not super in touch with Destiny 2 and like what's going on with the game. So in this video, I want to talk about what's new, what is there to look forward to, and just in general, how is the game right now? How is the game, period? Before we dive into all of that though, it's time for me to pay my bills, so enjoy a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Displate. They just sent me this big old box of metal posters. Let's see what I got. I got this owl, good old boy Kirby, a little bit of sun praising, and you can't go wrong with a little bit of Totoro. If you're wondering if these are just posters, they're made out of metal. How do you hang metal on the wall? Well, I'll show you. So Displate has a wide range of all sorts of different gaming, fantasy, and just kind of art stuff printed in high quality on these metal pieces and are stuck directly onto your wall with the help of a magnet. You don't need any tools. You don't need to nail any holes in the wall. I picked out a few of the stuff that were related to some gaming and fantasy things that I personally like, and I even set up a page with some of my favorites and recommendations for you guys that if you want to check them out. They've got a limited time discount code going on available that you can activate by using the link below. And also, Displate will plant one tree for every single plate that you buy. But yeah, thank you to Displate for sponsoring this video. Check out that link below if you guys are interested in trying it yourself. And let's get back into the video. All right, so let's start off with what's new with the game. There was just recently a new Bungie vidoc all about Beyond Light, which is the game's Year 4 expansion. This kicks off the next trilogy of stories for Destiny. What is new in terms of content coming with Beyond Light? Well, I think one of the biggest, most obvious things is we have a brand new location. Jupiter's frozen moon of Europa. This is said to be a huge, desolate, cold time capsule of a location. Now, I haven't been able to find any specifics as to the exact size, but they're calling it huge, so I'm guessing it's going to be much more substantial. Beyond the actual surface area, much like the moon location, Europa is going to have these large underground areas. Specifically, it has underground facilities that we're going to be able to explore, and they have said that there's lots of secrets hidden within that, which is, I think, one of the things Destiny has actually done a pretty cool job of having these little mysteries for players to discover. They're also introducing this new weather system via the storm on Europa. It's going to include, well, gust of winds and lower visibility from the snowstorm, and they're hoping that this adds some sort of variety and mixes up the whole play and exploration experience. And then obviously, a brand new location means a whole set of new quests, strikes, lost sectors to discover, and there's also going to be a new 6-person raid called the Deep Stone Crypt, although I don't believe that's actually coming right when this update launches. So the second large inclusion with this update is a brand new element that goes by the name of Stasis. So much like we currently have access to the elements Solar, Void, and Arc, Stasis is going to be a fourth element, and this is also going to include a brand new set of supers for every character. The whole idea for Stasis stems from this idea of freezing your enemies. Now, beyond providing like new ways to attack and approach combat, there's also a whole new approach to the subclass system and how you customize your character, and this is coming through this new system of aspects and fragments. So aspects are said to be these potent modifiers. A few examples are the Ice Flare bolts, where shattering a frozen target grants a small amount of grenade energy, and spawns Seekers to track and freeze nearby targets. Or there's the Frost Pulse, where casting your Rift generates a shockwave that freezes nearby combatants. So aspects are supposed to be highly potent modifiers for abilities. And then there's also these fragments, which are class agnostic and do some further modifying. So you can do things like gain a bonus to weapon damage after freezing a target with stasis, or increase the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. So we got a new location, we got a new element, and a new way to approach the subclass system. As you expect, new things to collect through exotic weapons and armor. They gave a couple examples in the vidoc. There's no time to explain. This weapon is returning and now creates a time portal that shoots rounds with you. There is Laments, which uses up sword energy to perform a combo that ends in this massive spinning slash. And one of the nice benefits of this is that it also slices through barrier champions. They gave some examples of exotic armor. In general, they say that they want these pieces to form a key part of your build in which all the other parts revolve around. So for example, the Titan gets this Icefall Mantle, an exotic arm piece that creates a burst of energy and covers you in an overshield, and the Warlock is going to be getting Necrotic Grip, which empowers your melee attack to deal damage and cause an explosion that chains to nearby enemies. They've said as well that the new player experience is going to be getting improved. Now, when New Light launched last year, they had brought back a small portion of the introduction for the Cosmodrome, and in this year's update, a much larger portion of Cosmodrome is coming back. They'll be taking some of those experiences that started in Destiny 1, but stitching them together in a different way and adding new things, and of course telling a different story. This is also kind of part of the whole content vaulting, things leaving and things coming back, and the larger section of the Cosmodrome, I guess, is the first major thing coming back. And then in general, evidently there's some sort of more of a streamlining of the new player experience so that it's not quite as confusing and overwhelming for players first getting into the game. And to coincide with this update, we've got the start of a new season, the Season of the Hunt. This will be picking up where Season of Arrivals left off. We're going to be working with the Crow and Osiris to take down these newly corrupted army of enemies that are wielding the power of darkness. Of course, we've got a season pass that you can earn ranks and rewards from. And they have also said here that most of the seasonal content and gear will be sticking around for an entire year rather than just the season. And they're doing this in hopes of removing some of the FOMO, the fear of missing out, that what took place in past seasons, which I really like this, because in general, the whole concept of seasons is to create the FOMO and get people to buy in because they don't want to miss out on this temporary stuff. So this is, it's a nice change, I believe. So that's basically a general overview of the new stuff that's coming with Beyond Light, as well as the first season, the Season of the Hunt. What is there to look forward to in the future? After this first season and Beyond Light drops, there's a lot more storytelling and updates coming in the future. The Witch Queen update happening in 2021 and Lightfall happening in 2022. And of course, all of the seasonal content that's tied into each of these major updates. So they've got plans for the next few years of content, and this also plays into the fact that there's no current plans for Destiny 3. They're just going to keep focusing on and adding upon Destiny 2 while also subtracting. And this kind of leads us into the content vaulting. A general overview, if you're not in the know, they're going through this content vaulting where they're going to be removing a large chunk of what is currently in Destiny 2. Their reasons being was that it's underplayed stuff, it's taking up space, and it's making further development of the game more difficult. The whole idea here is they're going to, over time, rotate this stuff out and then slowly make changes and add some of it back in the future. So if you're curious of what's coming out of Destiny 2 with this update, all of the Red War, Warmind, and Curse of Osiris. This is going to be the 4 full locations of Mars, Io, Titan, and Mercury. This includes the 9 lost sectors within, the 7 strikes, 2 on Mars, 2 on Mercury, 1 on Titan, and 2 on Io, the 5 raids of Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, Spire of the Stars, Crown of Sorrows, and Scourge of the Past, as well as the Menagerie, Tribute Hall, and Escalation Protocol. Portions of all of this stuff that's leaving will be coming in over time with some adjustments to make it current with the story and all of that. So I've complained about this quite a bit, and I've got a lot of kickback. I gotta say that I understand they have valid reasons for wanting to do it. They've been very thorough about the purpose behind removing this stuff, and the fact that it was stuff that a majority of the regular players of Destiny 2 never really touch. And that makes sense. You got a player base that's barely going to these locations. Having these locations in this game is making further updates and iteration of the world more difficult. Get rid of that stuff, put in better stuff that people actually want to play. Like, I'm not confused, it makes perfect sense, but I think the thing that I was getting hung up on was the idea that all of this stuff, or at least most of it, I bought and is no longer going to be accessible until maybe at some point in the future they rotate it back in. And I guess I was getting kind of stuck on this whole idea, not because I don't understand, like, game ownership nowadays, it's basically non-existent. We don't own any of the things that we buy. We don't own the games themselves or the DLCs. I think that's especially true with this live service model. I'm a massive fan of MMOs, and MMOs that I have bought paid subscriptions for, bought DLC of, and cosmetics or whatever. There's been games that I've dumped potentially hundreds of dollars in that aren't playable anymore. Take WildStar for an example. It's not the concept of us not owning this stuff that we bought and the fact that it's no longer accessible. That concept isn't lost on me. I totally understand it. What threw me off with Destiny 2 that I'm now just coming to terms with, up until this point, it hasn't been typical that this has happened with a successful game. It would be one thing if Destiny 2 was dying, had hardly any player base, and they were like, look guys, we can't afford to keep doing this. There aren't as many of you as there used to be, so we gotta remove this stuff. Destiny 2 is still a popular game. So losing content that I paid for, it's just like, what the hell is happening? But anyways, it doesn't matter. It's happening. And I am also not the most hardcore Destiny 2 player. So if you're someone who plays Destiny 2 every single day, you're probably not gonna care about my opinion, and I think that's totally valid. There's a plethora of YouTubers who also do nothing but play Destiny 2, and I'm sure that their opinions are much more important to you. But as someone who likes to come back 1 or 2 times a year, and who did go to that old content and check it out for nostalgia purposes or whatever, or just to go to those planets because I fucking bought them, it was a bit of a bummer to see all this vaulting stuff happen. Even though I'm not happy with it, I understand why they're doing it. Destiny 2 is delivering a different type of game experience and structure than what I'm used to. I'm used to games getting built upon when they're doing well, not getting massive chunks removed. But that's just what Destiny is. Destiny 2 is really kind of more at this point of a seasonal experience. You play the current version of Destiny 2, you never play the old version of Destiny 2, and that's just where we are. That's what it is. At the end of the day, even though I have these complaints, I still like Destiny 2. It is still a great game, I think. Hands down, some of the best shooting, action combat, movement, PvE for a first-person shooter game, like the strikes and the raids, and just like the fidelity of the world, going through, checking out the lost sectors, doing the public events. It's great. Every time I come back and I spend a few weeks with Destiny 2, I legitimately have a fantastic time. And what tends to happen is I'll play for a few weeks, I'll get those powerful engram upgrades, I'll bump up my light level a little bit, and then I'm like, I just don't want to keep doing this week after week, so I put it down and I come back during the next update, and that next update is about to happen, and I'm going to repeat the process. I will spend the $40, I will play Beyond Light, I'll check out Europa, hopefully I can get a group together to check out the brand new raid when it comes out, I'll explore the planet, do the lost sectors, do all the quests, pay attention to half the story, do that for a few weeks, and then I'll leave, and I'll probably be back sometime next fall or summer. And that's my approach to the game, and that's what I'm gonna keep on doing. So I guess congratulations to Bungie. You've collected my $40 while removing content that I paid for in the past, but it is solely because the game is just so damn fun to play. So should you play it? If you haven't played Destiny 2, I absolutely, if no other thing, suggest jumping into the new light version, the free-to-play experience, and giving that a look. There's gonna be a lot for you to explore and enjoy, and there's no harm if you just try the free experience, because there is a lot that you can do, and again, bottom line is the game is super fun to play. It feels so good playing Destiny 2, even if it only lasts me a few weeks at a time. There you go. That is the update. What is new to Destiny 2? How is the game overall? And if I think you should play it. And again, the answer is try the free version. there's no harm. Have fun and put it down when you put it down when you're done. Also, just don't be attached to any new updates or DLC you buy, because they've proven they're willing to chuck that stuff at some point in the future. That's it. That's fine. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.